You made it to part 5 of our forward roll class, and in this section we're going to talk about the important takeaways so that you can practice your forward rolls as successfully and safely as possible. So as you can see, we've got a few bullet points we're going to talk about here. The biggest one is making sure you are moving forward in your training with confidence and committing to follow through with the roll. So especially in newer gymnasts, maybe people who don't have a background in gymnastics, brand new to this sport, brand new to rolling, it's scary. Absolutely it is, okay? I was there once. I was just there like 20 years ago learning this stuff as a little kid. But I remember just being a little bit unsure, like, okay, what the heck do they want me to do? So the reasoning behind having these really in-depth classes is to make sure I provide you with all the information you need so that you know how to correctly and safely perform this movement, because knowledge is power. And again, you want to make sure that your brain first understands the movement pattern that you want your body to move through to be able to do this skill. So you want to definitely make sure that you take time to digest, understand all the information that we've talked about so that you can be confident and commit to following through when attempting your forward roll. Because when you know what you want to do, you've communicated that to your body because you've improved your coordination levels, you're going to have so much more success the first time you go through the forward roll steps. You're like, yes, I got this because I've prepared for this. I've studied for this just like you would study for a test in school. But if you skip the steps, you don't really turn your focus notch up. You're not really thinking about what you're supposed to be doing. A lot of new athletes will freak out mid-skill and then end up just stopping because they don't really know what they want their body to do, and so they just throw themselves into it, and then the body goes into survival mode and it just cuts you off. You just freeze up midair, and that's when injuries happen. That's when you put yourself at a higher risk for injury because you haven't taken the time to prepare your body to do this movement that you're asking it to do, okay? So, important takeaway number 1 is make sure you really take in, digest, understand all the information we've talked about so you can be confident and commit to following through with your roll. Point number 2, forget your ego and start simple, okay? So a lot of people who are maybe you've done gymnastics within other areas of sport or fitness before, and you're like, no, I'm past the wedge progression. I'm past this basic step-by-step roll, and you immediately try a fast roll or a handstand forward roll. Guess what? It's probably not going to go well, because just like in school, if you skip a week or a month's worth of lesson planning, you're not going to know that information, so you're going to go to take the test and you're just going to be winging it, okay? We don't want to wing things in gymnastics. You have to properly prepare. And this means throwing your ego out the window as you're learning, because this sport is dangerous. There is a risk for injury, and we're trying to minimize that risk for you as much as possible, okay? So this isn't me just trying to like shut down your gymnastics dreams, make it super boring. This is me looking out for you and your well-being, trying to keep you safe as possible so that you do have the most long-term success as possible. So throw your ego out the window, even if you've rolled before, and go through all of the step-by-step processes that we've talked about in today's class. All right, point number 3 is mindfulness. So visualize and understand each step versus rushing to roll. This kind of really beautifully folds into that second point we just talked about. You want to make sure your brain is turned on when you practice these gymnastic skills, that you're being very mindful and intentional with your movement. You're talking to yourself. You're saying, hands on the floor, bring my feet up. Oop, where's my center of gravity? It's right over my lever point. Awesome. Gravity tipped me over. And then you're telling yourself to tuck your head in. You're telling yourself to have a lot of control, to pull your heels into your booty to stand, to sit up with your core, shoulders over your toes, and then boom, I just did it. Yes, that's awesome. You have to think about what you're doing because, again, this sport is very, very mental. The brain has to first understand before the body can be expected to do it. So we can't zone out in gymnastic skills like you can in some other areas of sport. We've got to be very intentional with how we practice and how we approach these movements. All right, last but not least, you want to make sure you're training with the proper quote-unquote equipment, okay? So again, you don't have to be in a beautiful gymnastics facility with super high quality mats to be able to learn to forward roll. You can do this stuff at home. You've just got to, again, be mindful about what you're using and kind of think through before you go to practice something. So using your mattress, let's say you're doing your first forward roll on your bed at home, big fluffy bed, okay? If you were to accidentally skip a step or miss a step, and we don't walk the hips forward and you just collapse. If you collapse on a big fluffy mattress, you're probably gonna be okay. So you can use your bed, you can use couch cushions, pillows, stack up some comforters again, make a really soft squishy surface that's gonna keep you safe, and then you can start to take off a comforter or take off a pillow as you feel comfortable and can do each of the progressions safely and correctly. Okay, so don't get caught up in needing a gymnastics gym to practice something like rolling. You can do it from home. You just have to, again, think about what you're using, tell yourself why you're using it so that you know you're going to keep yourself safe and can have a lot more confidence going into each attempt that you do.